In this week's video, I'm going to be talking about a command that I use quite often called section analysis. So let's take a look at how we can use this. So when working with assemblies in Fusion, one of the commands that I use quite often is in the inspect menu is section analysis. And this actually allows you to slice through your assembly and see inside. And I actually use this more for looking for interferences. And I actually use this in conjunction with the interference command. So let me go ahead and show you how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and select on section analysis. And it's asking for a cut plane. And basically I can click on any flat face or plane. So you can see, for example, my origin over here. I'll go ahead and select this flat plane, and it cut on the back side. But in the section analysis dialog, I can click on this flip icon, and you can see we're basically slicing right through our assembly along this plane. Now I have this drag icon here where I can drag and slice through and basically analyze. As I'm slicing through, I can kind of see what's going on in my design. Now, like I mentioned before, I kind of like to use this to see what's going on in the design. And so we can kind of see, for example, how it's colorized some of these parts. So I have this green part, and we can see that it looks like it's kind of touching this pink part in here. And as we slice through, we can start to see this assembly here. And this is exactly what I was talking about. You'll notice that it looks kind of like cross-hatched right here. And that is because this light pink part is clashing or intersecting with this other part here. And it's kind of hard to see what's going on here. Let me go ahead and slice through. Let me kind of back out a little bit. But now we can kind of see that sure enough, there's like this big fillet right here. And this control rod or this control arm is actually intersecting with that mount right there. Now this is an imported model, so I don't have like a history tree or a timeline to go and edit and fix that. So I'll go ahead and do some direct editing to kind of fix this design. But we wouldn't really have known about that unless we kind of sectioned through and looked at this design. Or we can also use the interference command, which I use quite often also. In fact, I'll go ahead and show that really quick. I'll say interference. Let's just go ahead and draw a big selection box around everything. And I'm just going to say compute. And sure enough, you'll notice it shows that the slide and the brake are interfering. And you can kind of see how it's colorizing those. And it also is showing two other ones we'll take a look at also. We can kind of see some red going on here. Now let me go back to the section analysis. I'm going to say section analysis. Now originally I clicked on this plane over here. I can also click on a planar surface closer to the area. So for example right here, and that puts my drag arrow closer to the area that I want to investigate. So that's a little trick or tip. Instead of having to zoom out and be way over here, if you click kind of close to where you want to investigate, it allows you to drag that way. So we can kind of see what's going on there. Now, looking at the dialog, you'll notice it says cut plane 1 selected. And I can go ahead and hit this little X right here. And we could click a separate plane, for example, this top plane, and I can drag in that direction and see what that looks like going that way. Or you can grab any of these little circular dialogue things and rotate different angles. And that's what these angle options are here in the dialogue. So I picked this top face. I could rotate that 90 degrees. So now we're looking at it from this direction. I could rotate that 90 degrees this direction, and now we're kind of slicing it through this way. And here's another very visual representation of, this control arm clashing with that mount right there. So we can kind of visually see as we slice into there where that's starting to clash. So it's a very visual picture. And we can see everything else looks really good, like this pin going through and all that kind of stuff looks really good. We can also even see that it looks like that this control arm is actually too tall. Even if we were to remove the fillet, it looks like it still wouldn't work. So we have a couple changes we need to make. Now, what I really like is I'm going to go ahead and say okay, and we're going to stay kind of in this section view. I can make changes right here in this section view. Like I mentioned before, there's no sketches or features for us to change, so we're going to make changes directly on the design. So for example, I could click on this face right here and just do a press pull. And if I bring that face down, we can visually see in the section view what that's going to look like. Let me kind of move this out of the way. We can visually see how far down do we need to go, before we get some clearance there. So it looks like, if we came down like maybe 0.02 in this case. So I'll just go ahead and type in 0.02 for the offset there. Let's go ahead and maybe just select on that fillet and delete that out of there. I'll do the same thing on this other side, select that fillet, hit delete, and we can visually see that we now have enough clearance and it's not clashing anymore. And we can see that sure enough, we removed that fillet. We still have the one on the back, and we removed the fillet on that side. Let's zoom out a little bit and take a look at the rest of this design. Now, you'll notice I no longer have the section analysis dialog open, but over in my browser, we now have this analysis folder. And if it's closed up, you can unfold it like so. And you'll notice that there's this section here. And we can turn that on or off. Or we can do the top level analysis. We can turn that on or off. You can have multiple section analysis. So for example, this one here is slicing through, like let's say vertically. If I came in here and I did a section analysis and we did this horizontally like so, and let's just kind of slice down and visually look at it this way, and I say okay, you'll notice we now have two section analysis. Now we can only have one active at a time. You can't have both turned on. But if I turn off the top level, they both turn off. So let's go ahead and take a look at this other one here. And there was a little bit of a clash when we did the interference. And if we kind of zoom up a little bit, sure enough, we can see that right here. So it basically looks like, I'm going to go ahead and turn that section analysis off. It looks like this control arm is clashing with this mount. And if we kind of look at it, sure enough, you can kind of see what that looks like there. So I'm just going to go ahead and select these two faces here, and let's just do a press pull, kind of doing like a direct edit here. And let's make these radiuses smaller. That way they're not touching that edge anymore. Let's just do maybe something, maybe like 0.375 in this case. So there's still a little bit of a radius there. Let's take a look at the section analysis. If I want to edit this, I can just right mouse click and say edit. And that allows me to, slice up and down if I need to. And we can take a look at that, and sure enough, it looks much cleaner. I'm not seeing any interference or anything like that going on. We can double check with, doing the interference inspection. Let's just drag across everything, do a compute, and obviously it's showing in the other ones that we haven't fixed yet. But we're just working on this one right now, and it looks like there's no highlighted colors on that one, so we've fixed that problem. So using the direct editing and using the section analysis, we've basically fixed this particular mount. I wanted to show another cool tip with section analysis. So, I clicked on a plane to specify the cut plane, and I can drag this back and forth. What not a lot of people know about is maybe I want to position this plane like through a hole or a feature or something like that. So for example, maybe I want it to slice right through the center of this heat sink. And you can see as I hover over cylindrical features, if I click on that, it's going to snap right to the center of that cylindrical feature. For example, in this case, the heat sink. Well, I could click on the center of this little motor here. I'll click on that, and it's going to snap to the center of that motor. I could click on this feature there, and it's going to snap to the center of that. So it's a really neat way to snap through the center axis of something. Now, you do have to have it on a planar face first. So I do have to reference a face first. So there's a flat face, and then I can come in and then click on a cylindrical surface for it to line up with for that axis. One of the other options you can do, I'll go ahead and let's just go through the center of this guy here. You can also come in here for the section color. You can see it says from component. And so that's why you see this tan and cyan and pink and orange, etc. I can change this to be custom. And you'll notice everything kind of turned yellow. And that's because, I'm going to drag this off here, you can pick a custom color. So you can pick whichever color you want. Let's just do maybe like a green, for example. You can have it show the hatch pattern, or you can turn that hatch pattern off if you want to. So it's just a solid color if you want. I personally like having the hatch color turned on. It kind of, to me, it really kind of highlights when you zoom in and out, it really kind of highlights where that clashing is going on. You can kind of see how it flashes as you're panning. And to me, that shows the overlapping issue. Whereas when that's turned on or off, you really don't see that. So again, personal preference. I also personally like the component color. It just, to me, looks a little bit more visually pleasing. So that is the section analysis tool. Like I mentioned, I use it quite a bit. It's great for looking for overlapping and intersecting parts and making sure that the assembly of your design is what you expected. Well, hopefully you found this video useful and you learned some new tips and tricks. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, and I ask that you share this video with others. Happy holidays, and see you next time.